I understand your issue, and your issue is coming from because of the difference of languages as well. Tony, when you read Urdu akhbar, do you need diacritical marks? Does there's a page? When you look at Geo News, do you need it? You don't need it because the context and the words you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, but if I know that,
This is for Arabs. That's what I'm saying.
that's what I'm saying. That what you're saying, that's okay. But who put this mark, those marks on? Who put it?
Came in later on.
So here's my. So you said that by the context, because he knows the context, he can know how the word is read, right?
People like us who don't know Arabic,
Yeah.
we need the diacritical.
So that's my point. My point in bringing up Tabari, he was an Arab, right? And he's quoting Arabs and how they read it differently. And so when they're reading it and they know the context, there's groups that are literally saying, no, this is right versus no, this is right. And then Tabari gives his own opinion, right? So that's what I'm saying is like, if we don't have the diacritical marks, there's no objective way to determine which is the absolute correct reading. Okay, so how would you do that?
It comes back to, so if you go to Arabia right now, right? I just did Umrah, go to Makkah, Medina, open up the Quran, does not have any diacritical marks.
Okay.
But they read it exactly how I would with the diacritical marks. Why is that? Because they know the language. So what the issue that you're trying to present is a language issue, and if you move from one place to another, the language changes, the dialect changes. And that's the argument that you're trying to make. But the letters are the same.
Osama, I know you don't speak Arabic, I don't speak Arabic. We do have Arabic people, right?
Okay.
And we asked them to read that.
Okay.
They couldn't read it.
Okay, I understand that.
Not only one Arabic guys.
A lot of them will not be able to, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because this is, again, now you're looking into a very eloquent Arabic. It's not the everyday Arabic. Like, even if I give you a lot of like difficult Urdu poetry, you'll have trouble like, oh, is it this one or is it this way?
No,
it's because we don't know the word.
I can read, but I don't know I don't know the meaning of it. I understand what you're saying, that I can read. It doesn't matter how it looks, okay? I can read it. But meaning might be, I will not know. But the guy, Arabic guy, who can even not reading even that. He himself, he said, I'm a scholar, you know.
He said he's a scholar?
Yes. Have you have any questions? I'm going to ask you about the part. You have a question?
About what? Are we changing the subject?
Yeah.
What are you asking him?
About how Muhammad, talked to
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can check. Yeah.
So how are we going to find out if Muhammad is the prophet? This thing for me, Quran and everything, because what Arab did it, what Saudi Arabia did it. This Hafs Quran they printed in 1924 and they distribute all over the world.
Right.
Okay, and that's why they make it one and they try to destroy the other ones. They don't available. We have a 37 Qurans. We have a 37 Qurans. Okay, but you don't find any more in the market because Saudi Arabia did what he's supposed to do. They distribute. Even you go to Makkah, Medina or Hajj, they give you one Quran, but they're not going to allow you to take any of the Quran. You know that. You cannot take it from Pakistan.
Do you know why that is?
Why?
Why was the printing delayed?
No, why?
Why was the printing delayed?
The reason is that they don't want anybody to have a problem with the citation because there's an error in there. That's why we have a 37.
Not error. It's to avoid error.
Okay,
now, if you look at if you look at the fatwas that were given when the printing press came about, is because they were very strict on it. It's like nobody's allowed to make mass copies because the way the printing press started, you have to have a rough copy. They have to have those, like in English, you have to have like a template that they use in the scan, and that's what's being copied over. With Arabic, there are a lot of, again, with the diacritical marks and everything, one error, and now you have 1,000 copies that's gonna get distributed. It's gonna be a big issue. So until it was perfected to take on the Arabic language and the dialects, until then it was not allowed to.
Okay, that's fine. So how are we going to prove that Muhammad was a prophet?
What do you mean that's fine? Like, what do you mean? Like, go back to the point. So why?
No, I just want to make sure about.
Did you agree with my answer, or you want to challenge my answer?
I don't agree with that. What you're saying that.
Then what was your reason? Why was it delayed?
Because I'm telling you that what you're reading, that's not the same Quran. What you're talking about it's coming from the same generation or same Arab language. It's a different language. It's a different dialogue. That Hafs Quran is not the same dialogue. It's a different dialogue. than Quraysh. So we
Dialect?
Have, dialect or
Dialect could be very well
recitation,
different, but the
I'm talking-
words are the
no,
same.
they're okay. We know, like I said, that's fine. He already explained to you about that, and there is an issue in there. But what my concern is that how are you going to prove Muhammad is a prophet?
Well, first off, we look at his life. Pre-Islamic.
We have
pre-Islamic,
a
right?
lot of stories about that. Muhammad was
That's good.
complaints, a lot of
Okay.
so,
what's the difference between a regular person claiming to be a prophet and a prophet which is true?
that's what I'm saying. How because it,
Miracles.
like no.
Miracles.
Okay, here we go. Okay,
Miracles,
all right.
right? That's,
Yes.
that's the
fine.
core. That's the base foundation,
that's
right?
fine, okay.
If there are miracles, so there are no miracles. Now, if Muhammad had miracles attributed to him,
Yes.
and there are eyewitnesses and written witnesses,
Okay.
would you agree then?
Show me the miracles.
Show you the miracles?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the Quran?
Now, Quran itself is a miracle.
So which one is that? There's a 37.
Quran, okay, again, you're going back to, so there's a difference between the actual letters and the diacritical marks. Diacritical marks can be different depending on the place, but the word is the same.
Okay, Maliki Yawmiddin or
Maliki Yawmiddin.
That even
Which one?
that has a
Yeah.
different letter too. Like one has an aleph and one doesn't.
Yeah. So
No.
my
It's-
question is that which is the original one? Which is if you say the original Quran?
There is no Alif. Show me Alif.
The aleph,
Alif in the Malik, in the Fatiha,
yeah.
And
One,
there's
one,
a
of,
Malik?
one of them has it and one doesn't.
they have an Alif as like an actual standalone Alif.
Yeah, one has an
And
aleph.
not
And
as a diacritical mark added to, okay, show
let,
me.
let me see, cause you'll know more than I am. But
Show me a standalone Alif.
Let's go
Alif.
to talk to about the miracle about.
He's gonna show me an
Muhammad.
Alif.
Let's
Okay.
talk about the Muhammad.
Not as an actual letter, not as a diacritical.
or it could, I mean, are
Yeah,
alephs?
they have Aleph in
Aleph.
there. but
More
he's
than-
talking about,
Aleph,
he's talking
yes,
about Aleph
there
here.
is.
But there is Aleph here in Maliki.
Yeah.
There, he's talking about
There's Malik.
There's just Malik.
This is Malik,
And
yeah.
So
there-
does it have an aleph here or
there's
no?
So
There's
you're
no
saying
Alif.
there's gonna be Meme Alif,
No, that's-
Lam Kaf. Show me
and
Meme
so
Alif.
that's
Now.
here,
There's that's a diacritical
Yeah,
Alif.
there's a
That's what I'm
red
trying to
one
say.
Alif.
There are two different variations.
But like I
confused,
said,
sorry.
But that's
Maliki
again a
means-
dialectual.
It's still a different, but we don't want to go talk
It's-
about that because it's
Yeah, I'm a little. So okay, maybe we can break this down later,
Yes.
so you're saying that the aleph is the accent mark.
Is the accent.
So
It's a
that brings
stretching.
the letter, or
That does not bring the letter. That's the way those particular Arab speakers in those places spoke it. Like when I say the word, I'm from Canada. I say about. We emphasize on the you.
okay.
So if somebody who's just hearing it say emphasize on the you, but in American you focus more on the o. So it's about. So emphasis on the o. So when you're reading Arabic, you want to make sure that it's being recited properly or as close to as possible. So when you're trying to teach somebody who does not speak English at all, you say the word about, I say the word about, right? They're gonna say which one is correct. That's where the diacritical marks comes in.
Okay.
But the
I don't
letters
know.
are the same.
It seems like there's. All right.
Malik and Malik.
Which miracle
Let's see.
Muhammad did it? Can you please tell me?
Quran itself is a miracle. The eloquence of it, there's no contradiction.
What kind of miracle is Quran? We're not going to talk about
What
it.
kind
Show
of
me.
miracle of Quran?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
very simple.
Yeah.
The challenge of the Quran is produce a book like it,
Okay.
right? And produce a chapter like it or produce a verse like it. Now this is a challenge in Arabic. Now let me give you the same challenge in English. Give me a verse, right, in English, which uses old grammar rules, introduces new grammar rules which does not contradict original grammar rules, which uses old words in a new way.
Now
Wait,
we're
let me
changing
finish.
a subject.
Let me
We're
finish.
changing a subject.
No, we're not.
It's
No,
okay,
we're not.
it's okay.
You're asking me for the
All right,
challenge.
okay,
I'm
good.
giving you the
All right,
challenge.
go ahead,
Even in English,
Okay.
give me a sentence which uses old grammar rules, introduces new grammar rules, uses old words differently, introduce new words which everybody can understand, and it all makes sense in a poetic form, in as concise, eloquent way as possible. Can you do that in English?
So I believe that Omar did it in Arabic.
Who's Umar?
Omar, one of the
Umar, the prophet?
one of the
Oh,
companions.
sorry, my bad. Apologies.
Yeah, the
The
Sahaba.
companions, the Sahaba, yeah. He did it? How?
Yeah. So he came up with 3 verses that made it into the Quran.
He did not come up with it.
Yeah, he said that the Lord agreed with me in three ways.
Agreed. Okay.
So Omar said something.
And the similar word, it was revealed in the exact same words
Yeah.
as he said it. Yes.
So if we're saying that produce something like it, what Muhammad said, or not Muhammad, sorry, what Omar said was good enough and so much like the Quran that it made it in it, that Allah agreed with it.
Okay.
So I would say that Omar fulfilled that challenge.
Umar did not fulfill that challenge.
How not?
Because the challenge is firstly
Bring something like it.
bring something like it. Right? Now what the words that were chosen was also like in a quotation.
You know what?
It's like a quotation. Right? So these are the words that have been spoken. Let's say if Jesus said this person said this. When Omar said something, it was not. I mean, okay, I'll take back my words. Actually, that's an excellent question.
Okay.
Our understanding was that Prophet has said things about about Omar. That if there was a prophet after me, it would be Omar. Right?
He said that.
He said that. That's one of the hadiths.
Wow.
If there was a prophet that would come after me, it would be Umar ibn.
That's interesting.
Yes. So that's one of these. If there wasn't, huh?
There's any of these, you know?
There's a
He said there's a hadith, and it sounds. I'm not saying I heard it
But
before.
we
It sounds
know-
familiar though, but yeah,
But we know
I believe
for a
it.
fact that never came to fruition because there will be no other prophet, any
Okay.
new prophet. But he said if there was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to send a new one,
It'll be Omar.
it would be Umar.
Okay.
But we know that never happened.
Okay. So for me then, how is it then that Omar, who's not a prophet,
Right.
was inspired enough to say something that was good enough to be in the Quran 3 times?
Yeah.
That would have to be if the Quran is revelation, then that means that Omar received that revelation, that inspiration from God at least. It couldn't have been from himself.
I see what you're saying. Now, there are different responses. I don't know the way to properly answer you.
Okay.
That's an excellent point, but I would not say that Omar would be fulfilling the challenge because the verse was released after it,
After Omar said it.
after Omar said it.
Wait, so you're saying that the challenge came after Omar said it? Or the challenge to
challenge for the whole Quran. Okay, so it's mainly again, what is the challenge? You have to look at it.
it says
Somebody
bring
who's-
something like it.
Bring something like it. What is it referring to firstly?
The Quran.
The Quran itself. So
So it says
the
anything
whole
like
book,
it.
number one, starts off with that one for the Arabic people, and then it says bring a chapter like it,
Or a verse.
or a verse like it.
So Omar
The
brought
verse
3
came
verses.
afterward. It was Omar brought 3 verses, but that was before. But I see that's a valid argument. I'll give you that.
You're
That's
different,
what
man. You're somebody that we can continue these, like we can move on from subject to subject because you're reasonable. So it's
That's a
bro,
valid argument.
Osama.
I see that. I don't know how to actually what the explanation is. I'm sure one of the scholars have actually given it. I have not read up on it. But there are miraculous things that have happened, even with the other Sahabas
Okay,
that
so
they
now
have done it.
you're
Yeah.
going to show a miracle in the Quran for Muhammad Day. Which one is it? We'd love to see that.
Okay, so one of the things that was mentioned in the Quran was the splitting of the moon.
Okay, please, that's a good one.
I don't have wudu right now. I don't
Okay,
have.
I'll give you the book. Phone. You have a phone? You
Yeah.
don't need a wuju for that one. You have a Quran here.
The
What
moon
happens-
has been split asunder,
Yeah.
like that verse.
Yeah, just
Okay.
send it.
What about it?
Show me which verse is that.
So Quran, Surah number 54, Ayat 1 and 2. The hour has come near and the moon has split. And if they see a miracle, they turn away and they say pressing magic.
Okay, what is that? What did you have to do with normal?
That's the moon splitting. So this was a challenge given to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Let me open that one, please. Tell me which one is that? And this one. You know this one?
Yeah, like it doesn't say that Muhammad split the moon.
Yeah, so that's why.
But it said that it was a sign of the hour.
Muhammad didn't do miracles. Miracles are always done by God. Attributed.
Right. Through the prophets, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is that verse doesn't say that Muhammad or that Allah performed and worked through Muhammad, but that the moon splitting was a
It does not say it in the Quran, but do you know the context?
well. Look, like for me, I read a lot of the Quran.
Right.
There's so many places in the Quran that says that Allah never sent a sign to Muhammad.
Yeah, he's a
Be-
simple warrior.
He did what?
That he never sent a sign to Muhammad. That he actually refrained from doing it because if he did it, the people wouldn't believe anyway. So he was like, they don't deserve a sign. Like that's chapter 17, verse 59.
Yes, I know that one. You're talking about the different types of miracles than what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is splitting of the moon. And this verse, I don't know exactly, this happened in Makkah. And I don't know exactly when that one was revealed, so I need to look up that one. I know that's there. That they keep asking for the sign, but we have sent the signs to people, but even then they
they
refuse
didn't.
it. And that's the idea is that's exactly what happened. Even when the moon was split, they said like, "Oh, this is magic."
So my
So
thing
it just
from,
follows suit.
from what I understand with the verse is that the people were asking for a sign and stuff like that, right? And really the sign of the last days of the hour of the judgment day. And so the response is that the sign of the judgment day is that the moon is split. Like
There are
that's
many signs. It's just the
right.
hour is
That's
come
one
close.
of that's one
Hour
of
has
right.
come close.
That's one of the signs, right?
Yes.
So it's not that that's a miracle being performed by a prophet, but that it's just it's one of the general signs that shows that the hour is coming.
No. Okay, again, go back into the context of this, what really happened. So they were going into it. Yeah, okay, let's look it up. Abu Jahl, he challenged, if you split the moon, I will accept Islam. And a lot of these Qurayshi leaders, they stood up again with this point. And the moon was split.
So the scientific proof, there's no proof for that. The split.
I mean, if you look at it this way, we have not observed evolution. We don't even know if Jesus exists by this point.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
That's- but we're talking about historically speaking. We through the historical mechanisms, all that kind of stuff. But here's my thing. Because what you're quoting is not the Quran, but the Hadith. It's the context. That's Bab and
The
stuff
context
like
is the
that.
Hadith, yes.
Right. So here's my thing: is that the Quran over and over and over and over and over says that Muhammad never performed miracles, that he never was given any signs, but that he's just a warner, over and over again. So if the Hadith is saying that he performed a miracle, it would be contradicting what the Quran said.
Again, he does not perform miracles.
But like
Signs were
God,
given to him. Yes.
that's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying the same
He
thing.
did not perform miracle, but it was given to him.
Yeah, so that God gives him a sign to do for the people or in front of witnesses.
Right.
The Quran says that never happened. That he's only a warner.
We have to look at from the chronological point of view, because a lot of these verses, they were abrogated verses as well. Because one of them says, "Don't come near prayers if you're drunk." That kind of indication, like, oh, you can be drunk, but you just cannot go into prayers. But another one says, no, alcohol is prohibited completely. So there are abrogated verses, one replaced for another one.
Yeah, but these aren't abrogated. Like none of these verses are abrogated about him being
We
a
have
warner.
to look into this. Again,
Okay.
I did not come prepared to have a debate. I can go home and do research and I come back and answer those questions.
For sure.
Or again, you have Sheikh who can come back.
Do you live around here?
I don't. I live
Dang, so you're just visiting.
I'm just visiting it.
Man. How long?
I'm actually flying back tomorrow.
Dang, Osama.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. Well, let's keep going. While we have you.
Still, I'm saying that
Okay,
there's
so
no
okay,
miracle.
let's-
There's no miracle in the Quran, and Muhammad did it because see, there's so many verses out here. I can tell you that Quran say that he is a simple warrior and do not ask if I'm going to do miracles.
He's a messenger. He also says that.
No, but see, now there's no miracles, okay? We don't have any proof in the miracles because he's a simple warrior. And now, how are you going to prove it? He's a prophet. How are you going to prove
So
that
wait,
he was
you're
a-
saying the splitting of the moon did not happen?
Of course, see, he already, there is no proof, for that.
Okay,
moon is
back
square.
in those days, the only proof that you usually get is basically testimonies, right? There was no video cameras, there's no nothing like that. So what do you have as proof or as a story, like whatever it is testimonies. Now, do we have testimonies of other people saying that the moon was split?
Yeah, but that's false statement. So that's
False
yeah, of
statements
course,
by
yeah.
enemies of Prophet.
It would
By the
contradict
kings of India.
Osama. It will contradict the Quran.
Because Allah said that he's not going to prove any miracles. He's not. I did not give
Okay.
any proof miracles.
Okay, what you're doing is taking two different things out of context, jumping into conclusion. That's not the right way of doing things.
No, brother. So this is what it is. Because I try to treat the Quran like I treat the Bible. When I read the Bible, I use the Bible to interpret the Bible and stuff like that. Like, so if I see something in the context, I see what's all said around about this type of thing.
Fair enough.
So when I was studying the topic of does Muhammad perform miracles, okay? And I looked in the Quran, it's in probably like 7 or 8 verses. I might be missing some, but 7 or 8 verses all over the Quran that are consistent. That he's just a warner, no signs. Just a warner, no signs. They'll believe anyway. They will disbelieve anyway. No signs. He's just a warner, right? So it's a very consistent theme, bro. So if somebody's saying that he performed a sign, Allah performed a sign through him, giving him a sign, I'm like, that contradicts what the Quran says. all over. It's consistent. You know, and so I'm trying to be as consistent as I can with the Quran. Not
Fair enough.
You know,
That argument is a very old argument, and I've come across this a few months ago. The only thing is we have to look at from the chronological point of view, and we have to look at from the abrogational point of view. Again, I have to read up on it, but I don't. Again, if that is what you say is true, right? That means that there is a contradiction in the historical thing that has been reported and what the Quran is actually claiming.
Absolutely. So if I'm being fair to, she went that way. But
Walked away?
yeah, if we're being honest to what the Quran says, right? Then I have to assume, or I have to conclude that, okay, according to the Quran, he didn't perform miracles. But as a Christian looking in, we go back to the question, okay, so how can then I verify that he actually was indeed a prophet if no signs followed him? How can I verify that he's a prophet?
Okay.
So that would be the question still.
Okay, so clearly you've had this debate multiple times, and you've probably heard the answers that I'm going to give you. Nani, where's Nani? Nani walked away? We need to find the... Oh man, okay. So, what's your message then?
My message?
Because I need to go do more reading. So what's your message?
So our message is that Jesus being the Son of God, the divine Son of God, who came in flesh,
Okay.
walked amongst us, lived the life that we should have lived.
Okay.
We as sinners, we're sinners before God, right? And there's nothing that we can do, no good works that we can do, no, not going to church, to a mosque, to a synagogue.
It's not enough.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
Fair enough.
But we need God to just show us His mercy and grace, purify us Himself, because we can't purify ourselves.
Okay.
But since He's holy and just, He can't just sweep our sin under the rug. He has to deal with it.
Right.
Sin has to be punished. So Jesus comes, lives the life that we should live, fulfills the law completely, and takes on the law of Moses, the moral law, the rituals, the things that shows that God's character and His righteousness. This is what I want from you. This is what I demand.
Okay.
And we fail at that. All of us fail. We all fall short, right? While Jesus came, didn't fall short, did it perfectly, and so He then lives the righteous life perfectly, and bestows that righteousness unto us by His purity. We're purified. We're purified, and now we have salvation through Jesus Christ as the Son.
Okay.
So that's the message.
So when you say Son of God, what do you mean? Do you say biological son?
Of course not, because God is not physical.
Okay. So he is a spiritual son.
Yeah, the spiritual Son.
And He died for our sins.
Yes.
So He died on the cross.
He died on the cross in His human nature when He
It's
took
a human
on.
nature.
took
So it
on
was a
flesh.
human sacrifice or divine sacrifice?
It's both, because one, the divine gave up his position, for example, like He made Himself of no reputation. It says that He emptied Himself and took on the form of a servant. So Him being high and low gave up his divine privileges. Not that He's like He lost His nature or nothing, but He humbled Himself, basically. He humbled Himself, submitted Himself, and then took on the form of a servant, form of a human, and physically gave the sacrifice of dying in that human form.
So it was a physical sacrifice, not a divine sacrifice.
When it comes to the death, correct, it's the physical that died.
The sacrifice that was required was a divine sacrifice to forgive everybody's sin, but it was a human sacrifice that was given there.
No. So because we're
You said it was a physical sacrifice, right? Not a divine
right.
sacrifice.
But the person who did it is divine. The person who is Jesus, yes, is divine.
The soul is divine.
Yes.
So the soul doesn't die.
Correct.
So it's not a sacrifice.
No, so death.
If Jesus ceased to exist as a,
death doesn't mean to cease to exist.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Okay. Well, I gotta get going. But
you want to finish that?
yeah. So what I'm trying to say is so either it's going to be a physical sacrifice or a spiritual sacrifice. So to forgive all the sins, God has sent Himself or His Son.
God has sent. God the Father has sent the Son.
The Son. Are they the same?
They are not the same person, although they share the same nature.
The same nature.
Yeah.
They coexist.
Yes.
They coexist, and one person
came down,
humbled down, and then they sacrifice their physical being.
Yes.
So it's a human sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, Him being the human, so the human died,
But
but
isn't
also
human sacrifice forbidden in Judaism?
so this is
Isn't
where
that like the curse upon God?
no. So
No?
let me explain. So what you have going on here is when it comes to these people that are giving up their sacrificing their infant babies, killing innocent virgins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unwilling people giving up for sacrifices, while Jesus is a willing participant who came down, right, in his divine knowledge and will, came down and willingly took on the form of a servant and willingly gave up his life.
Then why was he saying, "Oh God, why hast thou forsaken me?"
Because he's quoting Psalm 22. Psalm
You
22.
forsake me.
So
What is the word forsake?
well, let me break it down because these are good.
Please.
So he quotes Psalm 22 that literally talks about exactly what is happening to him.
Okay.
So to the Jews that's around him while he's on the cross and says, "Oh God, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Them who recite the Psalms all the time knows exactly what he's quoting. So what he's quoting is a messianic prophecy that foretells his crucifixion. Literally in Psalm 22 it says, "They wag their tongues at me, they mock me, they rip my clothes,"
And then they say, "Oh,
and it says that they pierce my hands and my feet. So this is in Psalms 1,000 years before this happens.
Okay.
So Jesus is pointing them to, while he's still on the cross, to a prophecy about him, so that they might even still believe even at that time.
Okay. Well, I do have to go, but one question I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So is Jesus, according to you, is he always God, always human, or does he switch in nature?
No. So him being he never stops being divine, but he did take on the human nature at a point
So-
when he was born.
So if he's
Through Mary.
divine, he knows everything.
Correct.
He knows the future, the past, everything in existence that's happening around him.
That's right.
So why in the Bible, when he's approaching a fig tree, he's smacking it like, "Oh, I thought it was a reason. Why don't you have figs on?"
Well, that's not what the verse says. So the verse says that he saw the fig tree, he was
He
hungry.
thought?
No, it doesn't say that he thought anything.
Okay.
It says that he saw the fig tree and he was hungry, and he saw it that it had leaves. Okay? So when he went to it and saw that it didn't bear fruit, then he cursed it. Let me tell you why. Number one is that when fig trees have leaves, when they show their leaves, it means that they're bearing early fruit.
Right.
Right? So even if when it's not in season, fig trees in Palestine would bear early fruit. It's called bereba fruit. Okay? So it's supposed to bear the fruit. Now, since it's not bearing fruit, but it has the appearance of bearing fruit,
Right.
he cursed the tree because it's not fulfilling its purpose, although it's dressed as it. It was a lesson to the disciples, because right before they go to the fig tree, they was just dealing with the Pharisees and the religious leaders.
Yeah.
And he was talking to them about how they're dressed and look like they have a form of godliness. They do the prayers, they walk and they fast and they show their faces and throw ash on themselves. They have this appearance of godliness,
Yeah.
but because of their heart is far from him, they're cursed.
Yeah.
So it's the same with Israel having the form of godliness. The fig tree is a representation of Israel. So it's two things going on there. It's an illustration that Jesus is not for no reason.
Okay.
That make sense?
That makes sense. Right. Tony, I gotta go, man. I wish I could have this.
It was a pleasure,
longer
man.
conversation.